Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 Transportation Summit. My name's James McCoy. I work for all of you with the Chamber. And thank you all very much for being with us today, both in person, and we know many people are joining us virtually. We're at a new venue for the Chamber, for any Chamber event. It's the first time we've hosted an event here at Brownsbridge Church. And we felt that hosting this Transportation Summit this year at Brownsbridge was the perfect venue because you all got to experience some transportation coming in. And we're very proud of that and happy about that with the work that's going on at 369 and the 400 interchange widening. And thank you to Brownsbridge Church for being such a wonderful host. Please join me in thanking Brownsbridge. And now I'd like to introduce Jesse Barr, Guest Services Director at Brownsbridge, to deliver our opening invocation.
Thank you, James, and welcome everybody. I would love to say a word of prayer to just start us off today. Heavenly Father, we invite you into this place today. Thank you for bringing our community together. And thank you for the collaboration and unity that is sure to occur in this place today. We ask that you continue to bless the leaders in this room and that all their efforts may be made with the safety and well-being of our community in mind. Thank you for creating a space for us to learn from others and to discover the ways that we can all continue to help keep our community safe and thriving. We love you, God, and in Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Jesse. As the Chamber helps businesses to thrive, we also encourage and provide opportunities for them to form partnerships in the community. And in fact, the Chamber's mission statement is to advance positive business growth and community partnerships to promote a superior quality of life. One of our partners in today's event is the Forsyth County Rotary Club. Please join me in welcoming Denise Leeson, President of the Forsyth County Rotary Club, for a few remarks and Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, James. The Rotary Club of Forsyth County is excited to be here co-hosting the 2022 Transportation Summit. We are proud to be the longest-running club in Forsyth County. For 47 years, club members have been meeting, having fun together, supporting each other, and our businesses, raising funds, participating in events to give back to our community. Our club members have been instrumental in making our Rotary District #1 in the world against the fight for polio. We have been involved in international Rotary projects, providing clean water, wheelchairs, cleft palate surgeries, and much more. We offer $50,000 in Bagwell scholarships to first-generation students each year, and 8 challenge scholarships, one to each of our Forsyth County high schools. Our challenge golf tournament, our amazing football pool, and our annual raffle enable us to offer assistance with food, clothing, and any basic needs for students and families here in Forsyth County. Last year alone, we put over $135,000 back into our community. We participate in the Georgia Rotary Student Program, Rotary Laws of Life, Rotary Youth Exchange, Rotary Youth Leadership, and we are a proud sponsor of our Forsyth County High School's Interact Club. We meet in the beautiful new Folk House Center and enjoy the best fellowship and the best Thursday lunch in town. So without further ado, please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you again, Denise, and thank you to the Rotarians in the Forsyth Club. This is actually the Chamber's first time partnering with the Forsyth Club. As a Rotarian in a different club, I know how hard it is to get everyone to move your weekly location. And some people get a little grumpy, so I appreciate it. Thank you. Your grumpiness is paying off because we're glad you're here and we've got a good program in store for you. Many other partners, of course, are championing transportation efforts in our community. And on behalf of Forsyth County's business community, let me thank you. Those partners who are supporting today's event, and we could not do this without you, include our title sponsor, Martin Marietta Materials, our digital marketing sponsor, Jacobs Engineering. Your lunch today is compliments of Banesh. Your dessert is provided by HNTB. Our stage sponsor today is Atlas Technical Consultants. The South Forsyth CID has sponsored the program that's both at your table and on the event website. Our gold sponsors include Georgia Power and Renasant Bank, Heath and Lineback, HDR, and Smith & Howard. Our silver sponsors are JAT Consulting and Metro Traffics. And our bronze sponsors are Hussey Gay Bell and Forsyth County Business Radio X. Today's event literally cannot happen without their support. Please join me in thanking these generous sponsors. As I mentioned, our title sponsor today is Martin Marietta Materials. As a member of the S&P 500 Index, Martin Marietta is an American-based company and a leading supplier of building materials, including aggregates, cement, ready-mix concrete, and asphalt. Through a network of operations spanning 27 states, Canada, and the Bahamas, dedicated Martin Marietta teams supply the resources necessary for building the solid foundation on which our communities thrive. Let's learn a little bit more about this outstanding community partner.
I am a land and environmental services manager.
I am a physical tester.
I am a powder man.
I am an office manager.
Foreman.
Manager of infrastructure and a network architect.
We are thousands of people across hundreds of locations from coast to coast. But together, we are Martin Marietta, and we are one. We believe in hard work and strong communities. We care for our environment and for our customers. Always empowered, we respect each other's diverse backgrounds because we know each of us is part of something greater, something special.
Everybody's on the one team. You know, everybody's here for the same goal. It really comes down to happy customers, good products, and everyone going home safe.
It's about legacy. The safe, sustainable, and ethical choices we make today will guide us as we strive toward the promise of tomorrow.
You always hear stories of the guys who came before us, and it makes you want to build upon that and leave something for the next generation.
We aim to operate our sites in such a way that we could be good neighbors for many generations to come.
It's about truth. Our customers return time and again because they know a Martin Marietta employee's word means something. Honesty, respect, and dependability are the touchstones of our success.
If I meet a Martin person, I know I can trust them right off the bat.
We have to lead by example, so we have to do things right.
The more honest people are with what's going on out in the plant, the better everything goes.
It's about heart. We care for each other. We care for our neighbors. We work together to create opportunity and make a lasting difference.
We all care for each other here.
We put everyone in a position to be successful. Employees, community, business partners, customers.
By entrusting people to do the right thing and empowering people to do the right thing, Martin has created a culture where you feel like people have your back.
It's about all of us, together. One team, one purpose, one future. As our Martin Marietta journey continues, what part will you play in our shared success?
I am safety.
I am community.
I am stewardship.
I am excellence.
We are integrity. We are guardian angels.
We are.
We are.
We are
Martin Marietta, and we are one.
Thank you again, Martin Marietta, for your continued support of transportation in Forsyth County and our partnership with you guys, which of course goes beyond this event into Boulder Dash and many other programmatic activities. Thank you all very much for your investment in our community. Today, we're joined by many community leaders who are championing transportation and infrastructure efforts, including throughout this community, including GDOT Commissioner Russell McMurray, Senator Greg Dolezal, Representative Rick Jaspers, Representative Todd Jones, Representative Lauren McDonald, Board of Commissioners Chairman Alfred John, Commissioner Todd Levent, Commissioner Cindy Mills, Commissioner Laura Simonson, and Commissioner Molly Cooper. We're also joined by candidates for State House Carter Barrett and Brent Cox, and candidate for Board of Education Mike Valdez. We're also joined by our GDOT board member Rudy Bowen and GDOT traffic engineers Kelvin Mullins and Jason Dykes, and Forsyth County's outstanding county manager Kevin Tanner. Please join me in thanking these great community leaders for their dedication to our community. And I am so grateful to our business community and community leaders for prioritizing transportation in the way that they do. One of our leaders that continues to show commitment to advancing Forsyth County's infrastructure is our county manager, Kevin Tanner. Kevin previously served as chairman of the House Transportation Committee and was appointed to serve on the State Road and Tollway Authority Board of Directors by the Speaker of the House. In 2021, Kevin was recognized for his support and partnership in building a more sustainable transportation network by the Georgia State Transportation Board. Please join me in welcoming our county manager, Kevin Tanner, to the stage.
Thank you, James, and a very special thank you to the Forsyth County Chamber for hosting this event again this year, and again to the Brownsbridge Church here for hosting us. I also want to thank our state delegation and partners at GDOT for the work they do, and how about pre-construction engineer Sue Ann Decker in the video there. Great job, Sue Ann. She's here with us today. Thank you for partnering with us on that. You saw there just a moment ago in the video, and probably on your drive in this morning, that you don't have to look very far to find transportation progress in Forsyth County. The work just outside of this building at the new 369 interchange is a great example of how the county and state are looking and working together to advance transportation infrastructure. Perhaps never before has the importance of Forsyth County's infrastructure needs been more paramount than they are today. The engineering and capital project staff led by John Kennard and John Jefferson and Assistant County Manager David McKee, among others, and our partners with the state are leading the charge into the future for generations that will utilize our roads, sidewalks, and trail systems for many years to come. To the men and women working all hours of the day and night through adverse weather conditions, often in dangerous conditions, as well as our vendors and state partners and transportation initiatives, thank you for all your hard work and dedication to transportation advancements, because without you, none of this would be possible. Thank you. Before we get started, we also wanted to recognize someone who has been instrumental in helping us reach where we are today, and more importantly, where we are heading in regard to transportation infrastructure in one of the nation's fastest growing communities. Forsyth County and the Forsyth County Chamber is proud to present the inaugural Champion of Transportation Award to someone who has worked many years in this field. This leader in transportation has seen it all in his career. After starting out as an engineer intern with GDOT in 1990, fast forward to today, and he is consistently included in Georgia Trend's 100 Most Influential Georgians and one of Atlanta's most powerful leaders in Atlanta Magazine's Atlanta 500. He is the commissioner for the agency responsible for the nation's 10th largest system of transportation, with an operating budget of over $4 billion a year and a staff of over 3,500 employees. I'm proud to work with him regularly and to call him a friend. Without further ado, Forsyth County and the Forsyth County Chamber are proud to present the inaugural Champion of Transportation Award to Georgia Department of Transportation Commissioner Russell McMurray. Commissioner McMurray. And there is someone else who could not be with us today but has a message for Commissioner McMurray that will now play.
Hello everyone, Governor Brian Kemp here. I just want to take a minute and congratulate Russell McMurray on the award that he'll be receiving tonight. I'm grateful to the folks in Forsyth County that helped put this together. Russell's been a great leader. We appreciate what he's doing for our state. God bless.
Well, I certainly want to thank the Chamber for this acknowledgement and the great work the Chamber does and the partnership with Forsyth County. I look forward to some more dialogue. Certainly, they pulled one over on me today. I didn't know this was coming, so quite a surprise, but it's really been an honor to work with so many great people. And I think about the Board of Commissioners here at Forsyth County and their great relationship that we've enjoyed for a long time, and to see how far Forsyth County's advanced. And today we're talking about the future and advancing in the future. It's truly partnerships and it's people that make things happen. As Kevin just acknowledged, the great dedication and hard work of the many men and women of Forsyth County and GDOT coming together, often in difficult times and events that come to work day and night and do the hard work. And it's just a real honor to be a part of that team. So thank you for this acknowledgement. I'm sure it's going to cost me at some point, but it's certainly an acknowledgement, and I certainly can't say enough about Kevin and the friendship and the partnership we've had for many years. Thank you so much.
Get out the checkbook, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner McMurray and Governor Kemp, for all you do for advancing transportation, not only here in our community, but across our great state. So what are the transportation initiatives in Forsyth County as we approach the final months of 2022? And what goals lie before us in the new year? Let's hear now from our Assistant County Manager, David McKee.
Forsyth County is in a very good position. When it comes to transportation, we're in a much better position than most. We're not immune to the congestion problems and the capacity problems, many of what you see right here behind me on Post Road. But what I can tell you is we have a plan. We have high-level professional men and women that are working that plan. The plan's successful. In making that plan successful takes a partnership with Department of Transportation. It takes partnerships with our contractors. We certainly can't do this alone. We've been very successful working with our District 1 counterparts over at Georgia Department of Transportation. I would say that we are in a much better position leveraging those dollars than even many of our neighbors. And it's the simple fact that we have a good relationship with DOT. Today we're out here at Post Road. Post Road improvements is going to be broke down into two different phases. We're out here at Majors at Post Road, which is about midpoint in phase 1. DOT has allocated approximately $62 million for this project. Those dollars are programmed. What that means is this project is hit the ground running. We're updating the plans. We're going to go into right-of-way this year and then continuing to move straight into construction with no delay. Ronald Reagan Extension is certainly progressing, and as I look in the last year, we've seen massive improvements. If you ride down through the southern section, most of that road is at grade, meaning that they've built the road up, they have put the infrastructure in under the road. And then the northern section, over the next 4 to 6 months, we're going to see some massive improvements out there, and it's on track to be completed late next year. If you're here at the T-Summit, you sat through some of the traffic and some of the congestion. There is an end in sight, and I think that's the takeaway here, is that there is an end in sight. Very soon we're going to be shifting traffic from 369 up to the bridge with the exit and on-ramps being deployed and opened up there. And then that project is also on a schedule to be done and completed late next year, both the 400-369 interchange as well as the 369 widening. McGinnis Ferry at 400, that's a Georgia Department of Transportation project. That's an interchange project that's going to be a new exit off of 400. Then we have a multi-jurisdictional partnership with Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Georgia Department of Transportation, which will complete the McGinnis Ferry widening project, which is the last section of two-lane, what I call the bottleneck of McGinnis Ferry from State Route 85 all the way to what's going to be the new interchange is State Route 400. The other one that's a big project is going to be Old Atlanta Road widening. Those residents down there are very excited to see that we're finally going to complete and construct the last two phases, which is phase 4 and 5 of the Old Atlanta widening project. When we're talking about capital projects, I think one important thing for Forsyth County residents to understand is in the past year and a half, we are delivering those capital projects a little differently than what's happened in the past. We have stood up a capital projects team. It's a team of professionals that are project managers, architects, engineers, and then field staff so that we have eyes in the field. They're delivering these projects at a very high level. What this does, it's really twofold, where it gives us the ability to keep our promises to the residents of delivering these projects. What it also does is it allows our engineering team to work on the planning and the programming so that we continuously keep this snowball, if you will, rolling down the hill rather than backing up. We can't lose sight of our 1,200 miles of existing assets that we maintain on a daily basis. We've got some phenomenal staff working with some of our consultants. We've got a 10-year outlook of a plan to relieve some of that congestion. We feel like we're doing a good job. We're doing the best we can, keeping up with growth. Thank you for being patient, and we ask for your patience. We understand there's a lot under construction, a lot of roadways under construction. We also know that there's a lot coming in the future.
Thank you, David. Well, as you can see, transportation improvements in our community are progressing, but change is constant. And that need for constant mobility improvement on our roads is especially elevated here in the nation's fastest growing counties. The latest census showed us that what we've known for a long time, that Forsyth County continues to grow, and infrastructure has to grow with it. Between April 2010 and July 2019, Forsyth County grew at a staggering 39% rate. And that growth is not slowing. While Forsyth County is seeing a clear population growth, we are not alone in North Metro. Hall, Gwinnett, Cherokee, and Dawson counties are all seeing more new faces and businesses move into their communities. For us here in Forsyth County, that means more commuters to our north, east, west, and south, passing through Highway 400, Highway 9, Old Atlanta Road, Highway 20, and other thoroughfares through our county to connect to surrounding counties and the metro Atlanta region. So how do we prepare for today's needs tomorrow? Let's hear from a few key leaders in transportation on what the future holds and how we can build it. The first of those in our panel will be our moderator, Seth Milliken. Seth is the Executive Director of the Georgia Transportation Alliance and serves as the Georgia Chamber's resident expert on all things transportation and infrastructure. Seth brings 15 years of experience in politics and government and has helped lead several significant policy initiatives, including the Transportation Funding Act of 2015 and the creation of the ATL in 2018. And we're very fortunate to have him in our community today, helping us facilitate a discussion on this very pressing issue. Let's welcome Seth.
Well, it's great to be here with you all today. Kevin, grateful for the partnership that we've had over the years. And before I call our panelists up, I'm going to make a couple points of personal privilege and recognize some of my board members that are in the room today. Georgia Power is a member of the Transportation Alliance, as is Jacobs. I saw Kimberly with HNTB, Jeff Wansley with the Construction Aggregates Association, and Bill Benzer with the Ready Mix Concrete Association. So grateful for what y'all do for us. And then before we also get into the panel, I just want to say for those of y'all that are members of the Forsyth County Chamber, you should be very proud and very grateful for the work that your chamber is doing for you here in the community. One of the things that we do at the Transportation Alliance is work on these T-SPLOST efforts all across the state of Georgia. And I've personally probably been involved in 30 or 40 of these different efforts over the last 10 years. And I've never worked with a local chamber staff that has been as focused and as engaged and committed to seeing these things be successful as your chamber staff is here. So to James and Laura and your team here at the Forsyth County Chamber, y'all should be very proud of the work that they're doing. So as we move forward, I'm going to go ahead and welcome up first Commissioner Russell McMurray. I was going to give some great comments and then Kevin stole all my thunder. But Commissioner, congratulations on the reward. We're grateful to have you with us. Every time I go to GDOT to go see Russell, I go to where his office was. He's not there. I'm like, where's Russell? They had to move him to a bigger office because he needed more space for the awards. So glad to have you here with us, Commissioner. And also someone that I have not been working with for quite so long, but someone who's become a very dear friend and a huge asset to our community, our transportation community. It's the chairman of the House Transportation Committee, Representative Rick Jaspers. And I just want to say on behalf of Rick, it is an absolute delight to get to work with him on a day-to-day basis, and so grateful to have him in that role. Also want to welcome your chairman, Alfred John. Chairman, great to have you with us today. And then past chair of the chamber, Carter Patterson. Carter and I have been in a number of different meetings over the last couple of years as we've worked up to this point. And for those of y'all who are involved in this election process, I'm glad to tell you we're less than 30 days, so just hang on there. Lauren can't get here soon enough, right? So Kevin has talked to us, gentlemen, about the current status of transportation in Forsyth County. Commissioner, we'll go to you first. What do you think future success looks like for Forsyth County? You get to look at a lot of these things all across the state, but for Forsyth County, what does that look like?
Well, Seth, that's a great question, because I think, the old saying, beginning with the end in mind, is very important when it comes to transportation. So what does success look like? For me, it sort of works everywhere, but it certainly works here in Forsyth County, is simply that people want to be able to go where they want to go and how they want to get there at the time they want to go. And they want that to be done simply as a reliable trip, no matter what mode. If it's walking, biking, jogging, in a car, in a truck, or on maybe even like a scooter or something, right? There's all kind of modes of transportation, but the simple success for the future is going to be where you, the citizens of Forsyth County, want to be able to get where you want to go, when you want to get there, by the mode you want to get there. So I think that's the reality that everybody would like to see, sort of that utopian moment. But I also remember, a quote about leadership. It says, of leaders, the first thing you should always do is acknowledge your reality. So let's think about the reality of Forsyth County, and Kevin just mentioned some of those things. But when I think and do a little vision casting out into the future, I use some data from the Atlanta Regional Commission about population growth. And Kevin talked about the significant population growth, fastest growing county in the nation. The Atlanta Regional Commission projects an increase of over 228,000 people into Forsyth County by the year 2050. Now that sounds like a long time, but who remembers when we're going to party like it's 1999, right? That didn't seem like that long ago for me. Some of you are probably not born, but there you go. But let's think about that. From 2015 to 2050, Forsyth County's population will double. Think about that. Will more than double, in fact. 2x growth. With that comes jobs, comes opportunities, comes a lot of transportation challenges. The other reality is a little bit closer. Since COVID, all of you are ordering stuff online more than you ever have, and always joke around. Some of y'all are ordering stuff right now. I know it. You don't have to raise your hand or anything, but that puts demands on our systems for transportation. For right now, all those things get to you by truck. Maybe in the future there might be a drone or delivering a package and things like that. That will certainly happen, but significant stress on the transportation system. And the other thing I think about is for the future and the reality that we live in here in Forsyth County, as Kevin mentioned, is you got to think greater than the geographic boundary of Forsyth County. You got to think about Fulton County to your south, and Dawson and Lumpkin counties, and Hall County and Cherokee County. You're part of a region, a big region. You're an economic driver for that region where people are coming into Forsyth County on a daily basis. And so we got to think about that as we go forward. So how does that transportation look how do we get to that transportation we want in the future? It takes really two big things: investment and time. And the time thing, listen folks, transportation takes way too long. So 2050 to me seems like tomorrow, because I live in this transportation world where these things take a very long time. And that gives us this investment and time strategy from GDOT's perspective. here in Forsyth County, we're really trying to take care of the major corridors, the major arteries that Kevin mentioned that get this regional connectivity that exists and is critical for Forsyth County, not only for the regional part, but for you as you travel on your daily basis, your business, family, school, education, all those things. So I wanted to do just a little bit of analysis, and I had to write this down to be able to keep up with the numbers, to look at just a couple of corridors and a couple of projects to give you some scale of reality of what things cost. So the State Route 20 corridor from over in Cherokee at 575 all the way over to basically Sawney Drive here in Cumming. When you look at that corridor, it's about $575 million. So let me say that differently. That's over $500 million on one corridor of investment. And prices are not coming down at the moment. Let's talk about State Route 9, that parallel, critical north-south route from Cumming down into Fulton County and Alpharetta in that area. That corridor, over $200 million of investment in Forsyth County. The good news is 3 of those projects we've got underway or will be getting underway soon. We've bid them out. Work has not started on all of them. And we've got one more to get that gets you all the way from 20 down to the Fulton County line. On the video, David talked about State Route 400 and McGinnis Ferry interchange. A simple little interchange, $80 million investment, all in cost. So things like that start adding up. And the recent announcement we're super proud of is, again, partnering on Post Road, a very critical corridor in the county. A $62 million commitment for GDOT to the county, where the county can continue to advance the project and move it along and not have to slow down at all. So if you just take those 2 corridors and those 2 projects that total up to $917 million, or simply said, just south of $1 billion, as we said earlier, a B, not an M, a B, as Russell said in the video earlier. So you can see the significance of the size of these investments that are absolutely critical for mobility in Forsyth County. So there's some other good news, Seth, as we think about the future. In the passage of the bipartisan infrastructure law that happened last year and was enacted last year and actually got funded early this year, I've been telling people that, Seth, it's been like the Charles Dickens novel, A Tale of Two Cities. I bet you didn't think I was going there, did you? My wife certainly doesn't think I can know anything about Charles Dickens. You guys remember The Tale of Two Cities? It was the best of times. It was so thank you. You guys did good in literature. So right now, the best of times is we have more federal funding than we've ever had. The nation's largest transportation investment package portfolio, 5-year transportation bill ever in the history of the United States. The worst of times is the challenges we're all faced here, no matter what industry you're in now with inflation, supply chain issues, those things. So we're seeing costs go up commensurate with the funding increase right now. Will that last forever, Seth?
We don't know.
That's right. Thank you. My crystal ball's still a little fuzzy on that. You shake it up, or the crazy 8 balls, shake it up, says try again later, right? So things will normalize to some degree at some point. But the point is that to take advantage of the federal money, it takes state money or local dollars to match those dollars. And also in this bipartisan infrastructure law is the biggest discretionary funds ever made available to any state or local government. So there's a lot of opportunities that are ahead, but it's going to take investment to be able to leverage those dollars. And so as I conclude this very long ramble to your simple question, the future is critical that based on what's coming, the realities that we know that's going to happen here in Forsyth County, to make the right investment over time. And it takes time to deliver these things, but we all have to do it together. And I'll come back to the together part later. So thank you for the opportunity to be here and to answer a very simple question.
I think those are great points. I love audience participation. So before I go to the chairman, I want to go back to something that Russell said just a few minutes ago about the change that we've seen in e-commerce. How many of y'all, but just by show of hands, started shopping online consistently during the COVID-19 pandemic? So we've got some hands here in the room. How many of y'all shopped online consistently before the pandemic? Okay. Of those of y'all that started during the pandemic, how many of you are doing that as a matter of habit today? Okay, that's interesting. One of the points that Russell made, I think, is very, very important, particularly for a growing community like Forsyth County, is the increase in e-commerce and the amount of activity that places on our local infrastructure. You know, typically when we say infrastructure, we think about interstates and we think about interchanges and we think about railroads and things like that. But in a day where, you know, in any given room, there's probably 4 people ordering on Amazon right now. That increases significant impacts to our neighborhood streets and the things that we see in our individual neighborhoods. And so it's always good to see communities being proactive about those kind of solutions. Chairman, obviously y'all got a lot of exciting things happening here in Forsyth County. From your perspective, what are some of the tools that are in the toolbox here to address some of that growth and some of those opportunities in front of you?
Thank you for that question. You've already heard a few times today that Forsyth County is one of the state leaders in leveraging state funds. You heard Commissioner Murray mention that as well. So typically when we approach the state and say, you know, we'd like to have a road widened or some improvements, there's usually a partnership between the state and the county. So to get help with these projects, it's vital to have the funding source in place. And we aim to remove as much of the financial burden away from our tax base. And part of that is finding tax dollars from the state, but it's also finding resources from federal as well as other grants. So there are many opportunities that are available to us. And Forsyth County, I can tell you, maximizes every one of those opportunities. I have to mention our team. Starting from the top, you heard David McKee speaking. He's our assistant county manager, who's over the infrastructure departments, water and sewer and roads and bridges and so on, and engineering. So he's also built a team below him, which is the capital projects team, and they've done a really, really good job of managing a lot of these projects. So you combine that with highly competent staff. We've not only delivered a number of projects, but to see how rapidly we've brought up projects, that has been very impressive. Regarding the funding for these projects, in the past, the county has utilized SPLOST funds. And I think it was back in 2014 when we passed our last transportation bond. Now that's 8 years ago, and that was about $200 million, of which $80 million was committed to projects that were in partnership with the state. So you're talking about $120 million over a period of about 8 years, and we've pretty much exhausted most of it. So now we have to find additional sources. And the T-SPLOST is one of those sources that we feel will not put an additional tax burden on our taxpayers. It spreads the burden out over across anyone who comes in, shops, dines, spends money in Forsyth County. So it's not just Forsyth County residents, but it's anyone who comes through. So going with a T-bond limits us, whereas a T-SPLOST gives us far more flexibility and opportunity.
Thank you for that. You mentioned competent staff. Y'all have got a decent county manager too, I think.
We do indeed.
Russell, I think the chairman made a great point about matching state funds. That's always something that's important to point out to the communities that are looking to step up and kind of take control of their transportation needs. Can you talk a little bit about how that process works? And obviously, from the perspective that GDOT is probably one of the best in the country at leveraging federal funds, we don't leave any state funds on the table. So as y'all look at partnerships and matching funds with local communities, what does that look like?
Yeah, thanks for that, and I concur with the chairman's approach as we talk about funding and how do we do these things. And as I said just a minute ago, you know, we're all in this together. If many of the commissioners and we've met often, and they've heard me say that over and over and over. It's like in transportation, we all have to be in this together. And I always like to compare it to my golf game. All right, and some of you've seen me play golf, so you know it's not good. Often, if we go at it alone, it's like my golf game, which is often a 3-putt. Yes, I'm that bad. But if we're playing a scramble or playing best ball as a team, I can usually 1-putt or two-putt because we work together to figure out how to get the ball in the hole. And so that's exactly to your point, is how do we work together and how do we leverage dollars together, being at state or federal, in county and city. Let's not forget the city and the importance of the city here. How do we all come together or leverage those monies? And I want to go back and just hit you with a dose of reality too, as you talked about the bond from 8 years ago. That's crazy to believe. But I can tell you with certainty, when you came here today, that construction project of 369 and 400 in partnership with the county, big partner, let me say, we're a de minimis little part of that project as a state. That would not be happening today. You would be stuck on 400 still, saying, I'm not going to get here because it's doubtful that 400 would be 6-laned all the way up here to 369 today. That's the power of the partnership, that where we can come together and leverage dollars together. The thing that David mentioned in the video, the partnership of McGinnis Ferry Road expansion with Johns Creek and with Alpharetta and the county. You're talking about fun? Get all those people to the table and work on a hard project and get it done. But those are commitments because we all came together and made the one putt instead of trying to all of us three-putt it, taking much longer. As I said, time and money, you know, it would take a lot longer to get those things done. So as we work forward and as the county works forward and seeing the outcome of what happens on taking on a T-SPLOST, the Department of Transportation stands ready to continue that process and that relationship that we've enjoyed in the past. And we're making that commitment today that we're going to help you be successful because you're taking that opportunity to advance yourself, and we want to one-putt it and not three-putt it. So, Chairman, I'll make that commitment today that the Department of Transportation, our Director of Planning, Janine Miller, who works for Governor Kemp, couldn't be here. She's certainly in line, been working with the staff on how do we optimize the outcome of what comes out of a T-SPLOST. And we're going to stand ready to work through that. And it's sitting down and working through the technical part of that to be strategic on how to use dollars. And as I talk about the bipartisan infrastructure law, there's a lot of new programs where there's ways to leverage dollars more than just straight county dollars or straight state dollars. There's some new programs as well as how important, you know, trails and non-motorized investments are, because that's what we all want, right? As we live in a little more dense world, especially in parts of Forsyth County than others, you want to have opportunities to fund all modes of transportation, whether it be motorized or non-motorized. So, you know, I go back to, I got a lot of cliches and I got a lot of bad stories, right? A lot of dad jokes, but it's back to team. Does everybody remember what team stands for? Together, everybody accomplishes more. And that's going to be our approach working forward with Forsyth County as the T-SPLOST comes forward and seeing the outcome of that. And, you know, we're committed to make sure that we continue to advance transportation in partnership with the county and the city here in Forsyth County and coming.
Carter, thanks for being here today. We've heard a lot about partnerships and working together. Obviously, the business community in Forsyth County has been a key leader on this issue and a key part of this discussion. Why is it such a high priority for the business community?
Well, the return on investment for road projects and transportation is off the chart. It's so profound in our community. And you can look today at large commercial growth up along Georgia 400. But it's more than just the return on investment for economic development. It's quality of life. It's, does somebody want to build their business in a community where people sit in traffic all day? They don't. But in 2013, there was a lot of pain in this room. We were sitting stuck in traffic. And once we passed that transportation bond, and we added, you know, the 2 more lanes to Georgia 400, people were telling me that it saved them like 30 minutes a day on their commute. And 30 minutes a day is like a week per year of their life that they get back by not sitting in traffic. And it's not just Georgia 400, it was Georgia 141. There's so many areas that the 2014 bond fixed in our community. And those projects are winding down, but we've got new problems. And we hope that in another 8 years, we'll be sitting here talking about the success of the things that people in this room are doing today.
That's what happens when you're a fast-growing county, right?
Absolutely.
Chairman Jaspers, you've obviously got a very unique perspective as a statewide leader on this issue. Talk about some of the other communities in the state that you're familiar with that have taken similar steps to fund and plan and execute local transportation projects. What does that look like across the rest of the state of Georgia?
Well, thank you, Seth. But first, I want to say thank you for letting me be here today. I'm a state representative. I'm going to be representing part of Forsyth County, the northwest part, in January. I look forward to being part of a great group of men that are representing Forsyth County in the legislature. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. If you see me, yes, it's a campaign ad. I've got nail files. It's got my contact information on it. But, a T-SPLOS that we're talking about is a tool that was created to help counties take the bull by the horns and fix their transportation issues. And, when I started looking into it the other day, there are giant groups. In South Georgia, 13 counties go together to do T-SPLOS to fix their transportation issues. And they generated, over the past 10 years, $1.7 billion that's been used alone and in conjunction with GDOT to make a big difference. And, there are 41 single county T-SPLOS like you're talking about. And I go through this because when you're talking to somebody in your Sunday school class or at coffee or whatever, you need to be telling them these little facts that they make a difference. Those 41 counties have taken their transportation issue bull by the horns to make big changes. Think about the $500 million that they do annually to make a difference. And it works because not only making new roads, they're making safety improvements or widening roads, they're doing all sorts of things that the community wants. I think that's the key thing. And like Russell has said, it will make it easier, and it does make it easier to share because a consistent standard funding pattern makes a difference. It made a difference for the state. When County Manager Tanner said, this House Bill 170 we passed in 2015, what it allowed the state to do was have a consistent funding pattern. And that's what you'd like to emulate here and be able to do. There's only one metro county that has one, that's Fulton County. I don't know why the others don't, but you'll join us, a good group. Fulton County generates about $170 million annually in theirs. Yours with $100 million will let you take control, just like the other counties across the state have, and tackle it. Because I know it's a very important, as I drive through Forsyth County, it's a very important issue.
That's great context. So as you think, and kind of back it back down more to a community level, as you think about Forsyth County, how can Forsyth County take advantage of this tool to grow into the future?
By passing T-SPLOS, it gives them consistent dollars to plan. And I think planning is just a hallmark trait of a successful community. But to have the dollars that you know are going to come in, you can count on, you can work with GDOT, work with us at the state to be able to do that, that's the key. That's what these other counties have found out. And I think the counties that don't have one are a bit jealous, that come to us because they don't have that ability to do that. They're using tax dollars, out of property tax generally to try to do that with, and it really limits them on their ability to tackle these big issues.
Can I add on to that?
Yeah, please do.
And I'm going to go back to Chairman Jaspers talked about 41 other counties in Georgia with a transportation SPLOS. Very critical because this is a competitive environment. We're sitting here with the chamber today, right? And it's important that you ready yourself so you can be competitive not only with your neighbors around this region and prepare yourself, but what Chairman Jaspers said too is very important. To have funding and funding certainty gives you the ability to plan and execute. If you don't have that certainty, you're just wasting time and money trying to plan something that will never be a reality. And quite honestly, none of you are happy with those kind of things, and we've all had those experiences. We've had some of those experiences here in Forsyth County where we started out on something and said, well, no, we just don't have the money to do it, and people get excited and sort of expect it, and we can't deliver. So it gives, each county, I've seen it with those 41 other counties, and the regional T-SPLOS that are down in the south part of the state are doing fantastic because they know long-term that they can take on a project, advance a project, and deliver that project. And that makes people pretty happy, when you do what you say you're going to do. So I just thought that was a very important point the chairman brought up. That gives you the ability to plan and then to execute. Otherwise, without those dollars, you're just spinning your wheels, and state of good repair is about the best you can hope for.
And Seth, let me just add one thing to the commissioner. I know that y'all are in the process right now in Forsyth County of developing and finalizing a comprehensive plan. And I think with that, along with this, you can make some real differences because you know where you want growth, you know where you can plan to make a difference. And I think that's just one of those little things that you have that not many others do.
Yeah, as a chamber guy, I think what Russell said about it being a competitive environment is very important because it's, if you have a prospect that's visiting your county, you can't hide. Traffic's not something you can hide, but this type of mechanism gives you kind of a but clause. So you say, yeah, we do have congestion issues, but we have a plan. And that's a very compelling message when you're making an economic development pitch. Mr. Chairman, what are some of the specific transportation improvements from a county perspective as we think about what the future looks like that could take place as a result of this?
I do want to mention one example. Beginning last year, I was having monthly meetings on transportation projects within Forsyth County, but specifically around South Forsyth. And one of the things that I noticed was that there was a gap in the widening of McGinnis Ferry Road from Emory Johns Creek Hospital up to 400 of McFarland, and it wasn't funded. So when I discussed that with Kevin Tanner reached out to GDOT and through conversations and leveraging the partnerships and the relationships, that is now funded, and that is going to get widened. And so it's exciting to see all of that take place within the space of about a year, but that would not have happened if we didn't have the funds in place to partner with GDOT and get that widening in place. The widening of 306, Keithbridge Road between 400 and Hammond's Crossing. That is a vitally important project. And it is my great pleasure to tell you that our GDOT commissioner was stuck in traffic recently while coming up here. So I think he felt some of our pain as well.
How many of y'all participated in that scheme?
There are some improvements up on Elmo Road in North Forsyth. So it's not just South Forsyth, but North Forsyth is growing and rapidly developing, not just residential development, but as well as commercial development. Now, businesses aren't going to want to invest in Forsyth County if they don't feel that traffic will move, if they don't feel that their logistics are being supported. On the west side of town, Fowler Road, there's a conversation about widening a Fowler Road because there are 2 schools there. There are a lot of families that go back and forth. So that's another important project as well. But I will tell you, as areas get more dense and built out, people are looking for connectivity. 2020 and 2021 showed us that a lot of folks are getting out and about. They're walking. They don't just want to be within their subdivisions. They want to connect to other subdivisions. They want to be able to walk and bike. They want their kids to be able to bike to adjacent subdivisions. They want to be able to get to parks, walk to parks. All these sidewalks cost money. In a recent conversation, I told someone, a sidewalk is not just pouring concrete. It costs about $1 million a mile to build a sidewalk because you have to buy the land, the right of way, you have to move utilities. All of that costs money. And where is that money coming from? There has to be a funding source. So in South Forsyth, there's a road called Christopher Robin, hundreds of homes, very close to a park, but they don't have sidewalk access to that park. So those are the types of projects that will be supported by this T-SPLOST.
That's a great vision. Carter, we'll round it out with you. There's a lot of opportunity in the future for Forsyth County, it sounds like. How can Forsyth County prepare for that? How can we seize the day?
Well, come November, we're all going to have an opportunity to do something about transportation. We can sit on our hands and hope that somebody will magically come out of the sky and fix our roads, or we can take the bull by the horns, as Representative Jaspers said, and take responsibility for our transportation needs and start addressing them immediately if we can pass T-SPLOST. But just don't take my word for it. I think we've got some people out there who have lived in T-SPLOST and other communities that would like to share their opinions.
The T-SPLOST program is a great way to fund your transportation needs. The thing that's really important about T-SPLOST is it not only gives the local people an opportunity to participate and fund projects, but also people who visit your county, who shop in your county, and who pass through your county through the leverage of that sales tax. So that's really a big impact on Lumpkin County.
We did it 6 years ago, 5-year program. And we had such a great response, and people began to see what the impact was, that when we went for an extension this past November, it won overwhelmingly.
So the sales tax, in my opinion, is the most fair tax because everybody that shops in your county, that purchases in your county, is going to pay that sales tax. So that, just like everybody that shops in your county and makes purchases in your county are going to use a road system, this lets everybody have an opportunity to participate in the funding of the road system and not just those people who own property. So it's certainly a lot better system than a property tax.
If they're going to vote for a tax increase, they want to make sure that that money's going to have a real impact on their quality of life. People were frustrated while we were under construction. In the short term, you do end up sometimes making life a little worse, but in the long run, by the time we got around to voting for the second T-SPLOST, people were convinced, number one, they trusted that what we told them we did. Secondly, they saw the impact on their quality of life and believed that, yeah, this is making a difference, and so we'll continue to fund it. Now people say, yeah, keep going. We need more of this.
With the funding that we had in place before T-SPLOST, we were on a course to repave roads about every 36 years. The average life expectancy of a road is about 10 to 15 years, depending on the amount of traffic. So we were just on a path of not being able to sustain our roads in Lumpkin County. So through the local maintenance and improvement grant program through the state of Georgia, the more local money that you have to match, then the more funding you can get from the state. So once the T-SPLOST was enacted, we were able to have a lot more local money. So then in turn, what we were willing to put up locally helped us get more money for state funding. So now we're paving lots of miles of roads that we could not afford to pave when we were just getting our money from our property tax base.
But I think if it's done right, in the first 3 or 4 years, you're going to see real impact. If it's done right, you'll see a real impact on mobility after these projects come online. And then the longer term projects will have even more meaning as they come online as well.
The biggest project that we did is we created a roundabout. We had an intersection that was very dangerous near our high school. We were able to have that money locally to leverage that state funding to get that project done. There's so many people that talk about how much safer that intersection is and how proud they are that that's so close to our high school where our kids travel daily, school buses daily, and it's just made a huge impact on our community to be able to do that project. I encourage you to support it because it will make a huge difference in your community. Traffic is a growing problem. It's going to make a huge difference in what your local government will be able to do as far as alleviating some of those traffic concerns.
And in the traffic world, saving seconds matter. You know, a traffic engineer will tell you if you can save 4 or 5 seconds for each light change, you have a significant impact. The ability to save minutes is revolutionary. It's about quality of life. You know, if you're stuck in your car, missing your kid's softball game or basketball game or cheerleading competition, whatever it is, and you're stuck and you can't get there because of the traffic, You know, that's a real impact on your quality of life. You're not going to eliminate congestion. You're not going to be able to solve every pain point. But if you really focus on it and do it right, you can have a meaningful impact that will make their lives better.
Thank you to our panel for that discussion and a glimpse of how T-Splosh is impacting some of our neighbors. Also, thank you to some great leaders, Sandy Springs Mayor Rusty Paul and Lumpkin County Board of Commissioners Chairman Chris Dockery, for lending their perspectives from their communities. The cost for transportation improvements often comes with a steep bill. Widening a 2-lane road to 4 lanes has an average construction cost of $13 million per center lane mile. Repaving a mile of existing road is $275,000 per mile. And a new overpass on Georgia 400 averages a rough cost of $65 million. So where does this funding come from? Well, we have many options at our disposal to pay for these transportation improvements. Perhaps the real question is which option gives us the most benefit in the shortest amount of time. There's the general fund, which is flexible and broad, but it's better used for running general operations of our government and for emergencies. There's also the option of raising the millage rate. However, Forsyth County's millage rate is one of the lowest in Metro Atlanta, and we want to keep it that way to support our residents. Property bonds are a long-standing contract that takes a long time to collect and to grow and to pay off. There's another option which will be presented to voters at the polls during the November 8th election. You just heard from our neighbors in Lumpkin County and Sandy Springs. T-Splosh, which is an acronym for Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. It is a proposed 1-cent sales tax, if approved, would be used solely for transportation improvements. As a sales tax, T-Splosh would be paid by anyone spending money here in Forsyth County, and the tax would not fall solely on county property owners. Earlier, I highlighted how it's just not Forsyth County experiencing a population surge, but all of our surrounding counties and cities as well. Commuters from those neighbors who travel through Forsyth County every day would help float the cost of transportation improvements here in Forsyth County as they pass through and spent their money. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, T-Splosh would fund transportation investments without adding to the county debt. If Forsyth County says yes to T-Splosh with their votes, we can see investments of a combined local and state funds exceeding $1 billion over the next 10 years. I highly encourage all of you here today and the ones watching at home to consider how you wish for the transportation improvements in your community now and in the future to be funded. Educate yourselves, ask questions, do your own research, and make your vote on the T-Splosh referendum count on November 8th. Thank you again to the Chamber, to Brownsbridge Church, all of our panelists, Commissioner McMurray, and our leaders for being here today. And at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to James.
So our friends and neighbors throughout Forsyth County are being asked a pretty big question this November. And we all know there's some headwinds out there. There's a lot going on in the national economy and international economy, and we're asking them to vote themselves, to consider voting themselves a tax increase. But we know because we've done the research and identified this, that Forsyth County voters, if they know what SPLOST is, if they know how it works, and they know what it will pay for, that they will vote for it. So one of the things that I'm asking everyone in this room to do is, as you leave, there are some yard signs that are going to be out front, and all it says is really T-SPLOST and the date of the vote. So if you will, I'd like everyone in here to take at least one. We have really probably 2 or 3 for everybody, but at least one, and make sure that that goes up either in your own yard or the yard of someone within the community. We're also asking that as you leave, our elections office has absentee ballot applications. For those of you who may not be able to vote in person, please pick up that application on your way out. We also have, will have the website URL coming up. We have a landing page today that will be added to as we roll through this conversation with the community. But most importantly, we're asking you to help communicate with the people that are in your networks about why this matters, why the future of Forsyth County matters, and how this is all integrally tied to that. We appreciate very much everyone for being here. Again, a big thanks to our Rotary friends and everyone at the Forsyth Club. And I'd like to ask that we close by joining us in reciting the four-way test. Please join me. The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you all so much. Have a great day.